Seconds Out, Eamon Khan here with esteemed trainer Jamie Moore as he prepares to take his charge. Rocky-Fielding against esteemed trainer.
Esteemed trainer, yeah?
No, not like a steam trainer. Esteemed trainer Jamie Moore as Rocky-Fielding prepares to challenge Dan Azeez for the British title this weekend. Jamie, first of all, how has Rocky been looking in the gym?
Yeah. He's had about 6-7 weeks notice for the actual fight, but he was in the gym before that, taking over. So yeah, he's in good shape. He's he's well experienced. He's had enough notice for this fight, and it's going to be explosive. It's going to be a good fight.
Dan Azeez, we've seen quite a bit of Dan Azeez. He's been rising. He's taking his opportunities as he had them. What have you made of Dan Azeez's successes so far in the ring?
Good fighter, solid fighter, late bloomer. So he's he's having his success later on, with obviously with his own experience behind him. So I quite like Dan. I'm a fan of his in terms of his style. I like that sort of short, stocky, pressure type fighter. It's always been a fan-friendly type of thing, and I've always loved that since I was a kid. I was a big Mike Tyson fan and a Marvin Hagler fan, and obviously he is as well. I just got the feeling that when this fight was first mentioned, I said to Rocky, this is right up your street, because this is the type of opponent where they're confident, they've got ambition, and stylistically he sort of fits right to make Rocky look good, because ambitious, strong, confident fighters come in looking for Rocky, outside of the elite level, are sort of made for him. They really, in a way, they're their own undoing with him, because they cause themselves problems. So when it was mentioned in the fight, I said, listen, that's a great fight for you. And we sort of sat around for a week or two, waiting to sort of see if it could be made. It got made, and here we are today, and I'm really looking forward to it.
With that said, then how does that fight play out? Is this a fight where Rocky kind of has to maybe back foot it, take his shots, and then maybe break the heart of Dan Azeez?
I think so. Rocky's that experienced. It could go a number of ways. I'm always, in general, with my fighters, I always want them to be a bit versatile. I don't think you can go in there sort of say, look at his last 5 or 6 fights and go, well, generally he does this, so we're going to bank on him doing that, because a lot of the time that doesn't happen. So I think Rocky's got to be versatile. He's got to go out there and he's got to be responsive. He's got to, whatever Dan Azeez is trying to do, he's got to nullify that and take it away from him. And he's experienced enough to do that. He's got a lot of attributes. His height and reach. He can really box. But he's a big puncher. His record, even though I think generally he's known as a bit of a puncher, when you look at his record, it doesn't suggest he's a big, massive puncher, and he is. And if Dan comes looking for him, he'll find that out early on. And if he tries to sort of go on the back foot and walk him down, I think he'll find himself in more problems, because Rocky's really good, tall, awkward pressure fighter. So he's hard to read. So he's got all the markings of a great fight. It's a really good fight on paper. I'm looking forward to it.
From the outside looking in, people will look at Rocky and say the lack of activity is a concern, ring rust and such. You're the person that's seen him in the gym day in, day out. Is that a concern? Should people be concerned about that?
Of course, in an ideal world, we'd have wanted him to be more active, but he's not been in the gym, and I think inactivity shows itself in a ring when a fighter at Rocky's age and stage isn't active in the gym, because you lose a lot of your time and your sharpness when you're not keeping those tools sharp. And he's not. He's been in the gym. He's been there training, so he's not as far away from where he should have been, because he's been active. So yeah, I have no concerns about that. To be honest, a loss for Rocky at this stage is a big negative. So we wouldn't have took this fight unless we was really confident about it. And I'm really looking forward to it, because I think it's going to really show Rocky's best attributes on Saturday.
Where does that win put him if he gets the win at the weekend?
Well, let's see. The landscape's wide open at the moment. Light heavyweight in Britain is a massive division. So Rocky winning the British title at this stage opens the doors up to massive fights for him. So let's not jump ahead of ourselves. God, it's a real 50-50 fight this on Saturday. So Rocky wins this on Saturday, puts him in a great position. But first things first, let's show Dan Azeez some respect and make sure we concentrate on that first.
Just the other side of that coin, if Rocky was to lose at this level, would you maybe say that it might be curtains for him in his career?
Well, I think, if we're being honest, at 34, 35 years old, when you lose at British title 11, you've got world ambitions, then it's a long road back, and has he got that sort of desire and determination to do it? But we're not thinking like that. I know this is a massive opportunity, and that's what's spurring Rocky on, knowing that his age, stage, his experience, this is a massive opportunity for him to gate crash the light heavyweight scene on the world stage.
Let me get you a couple of thoughts on other things from yourself. First of all, starting with your stable, Jack Catterall, waiting on an announcement for the Josh Taylor rematch. What do you know about that?
Yeah, I know as much as everybody else. I know the negotiations are ongoing, and we're looking like it's going to be early March, but there's nothing set in stone yet. I'm just fingers crossed everyone can all get it agreed and get the contract signed.
Frustrating period?
Of course it is. I mean, we was first mentioned about it being in November, and then it's just dragged on in December, and then there's been an issue because the Eubank fight got announced and it can't be pay-per-view, so it's just dragged on. But you know, by all accounts, we're nearly there with it now, so hopefully early March.
Jimmy, I spoke to Ben Shalom recently, and I said to him, because in the aftermath of the fight with the first fight between Taylor and Catterall, he said he put some suggestions towards the board in terms of judging, and that's now manifesting as something that he might be announcing for the rematch. Are you aware of any changes in maybe judging or any innovations in judging coming to this fight?
I've not heard anything. I'm pretty sure because we was that vocal about it after the first fight. Voiced our concerns many times. I'm pretty sure we would have been informed about something or told something. So I've not heard anything. But if there is an announcement to be made and it is going to improve the scoring system, then good, because it needs improvement. You know, far too often we see cards, even if the right person wins, the cards are a mile out. You know, and not just in this country, not by any stretch of the imagination. You know, look at Teofimo Lopez at the weekend. Many people saying that fight was, you know, really close, couldn't either way. You know, a lot of people thinking he maybe even lost it. One of the cards was massive in his favour, seven or 8 rounds. So one massive point on the scoring, what got highlighted a lot, which I'd never even thought about before the Catterall-Taylor decision, was why do we have a 10-point must system and you don't utilise those 10 points to how you could possibly use them. So, for instance, you know, Jack won big rounds against Taylor, and the couple of rounds what Taylor won, I thought he just edged him. So surely we should be in a situation where those bigger rounds, where you believe they've won by a bigger margin, even if it must be a 10-point must system, should be maybe 10-6 if it's a big round to you. And then a closer round should be 10-9. You know, maybe that is something that they've looked at, because I know it was spoke about a lot afterwards. But the system's got to change. It's got to change. If this, for me, this is the greatest sport in the world. Globally, it should be the greatest sport in the world. And I think a lot of the reason for that is stuff like controversial decisions, because people are aggrieved. You know, Jack Catterall's worked all his life to be undisputed champion. And, you know, I don't want to keep banging on about it, but at that moment he'll never be presented to him. He still won't now, even if we get a rematch, because of the politics of boxing. And in a situation where it was a fairer scoring system, we wouldn't be having that conversation. We'd probably be talking about Jack making the first defence against Josh Taylor instead. So listen, we'll see. Hopefully they've sat down and they've used the situation, what happened, turn a negative into a positive, hopefully.
Final question on judging before I move on. Hard question, so feel free to answer how you like. Are you confident in the judging coming into the rematch?
I wouldn't say I was 100% confident unless something has changed in the meantime. The only thing I will say is I'm hearing it's Scotland again, and a lot of people are going, oh, you don't want to go back there, but I think, why not? Because, you know, in many ways, I think the judges will be under more scrutiny this time if it is in Scotland. So that will go in our favour in a sense. So, you know, listen, I don't care where it is. I've got so much confidence in Jack Catterall's ability. I said it to everyone before the fight, just watch, because you'll understand. I see day in, day out how good he is. I understand and I realise how good Josh Taylor is, but just watch how good Jack Catterall is. And he proved it to everyone. And we should be here stood here talking about him making his first defence. We're not. And I'm so confident that this rematch gets made, he comes away as champion. But I'm not interested in the judges. I don't want to focus on that, because if you start focusing on the judge, what can I do about that? I really can't do anything about it. You know, for me, by the time we got to round 10, he was 7 rounds up. So I'm sort of going, he just needs to stay on his feet and not get knocked out. I shouldn't have to think about him having to win the rounds bigger, harder, stronger. If you win a round, you win a round. So I don't want to focus on that. I just want to focus on making sure Jack's in the best shape possible.
In terms of the fight, then, more to see or more of the same from Jack? Can he beat him? Can he beat Josh Taylor this time a different way?
He can be better than he was last time. He was out of the ring 17 months last time. And I'm anticipating Josh Taylor being better because he changed the team. Even though I've got a lot of respect for Joe McAnally, I've known him for a long time. He's a great trainer, but just take aside the fact that it's Joe. Any change of trainer has some sort of placebo effects and sort of that positive, even if it's just for a short period. So I'm anticipating Josh to be better. Certainly, he'll be fired up. He was last time. I know I've heard people saying, did he overlook Jack? I don't think he did. I just think he does what everybody else does who I've ever seen come across Jack, and he struggled with his style. And I've no doubt it'll happen again. Everyone sort of who's boxed him or who sparred him always say when they watched him before and then when they get in there, it was two different things. They sort of didn't realise how good he was. So yeah, I think he's coming out party against Josh Taylor. People understand how good he is now, but he can be better than that. He's not boxed for a long time, and since the fight, he's stayed in the gym and he's been sparred. He spars once a week, every week, just to make sure keeps them tools sharp. So he'll be ready.
Chantal Cameron claimed undisputed titles last time out. What's next for her?
Well, a good question. We're waiting to find out. Obviously everybody wants to see the Katie Taylor fight, but I don't think that'll happen at Croke Park. And I understand it. If I'm Katie Taylor, I understand it's a difficult fight against Chantal. So do they really want to put her in a fight which is Is it on the table, Jim? I think so. They're all in the same promotional company. I think it's definitely on the table. What I'm saying to you is, if I'm Katie Taylor, I'm looking at this and going, listen, this is a homecoming fight at Croke Park in front of 90,000 people potentially. I don't want to put her in there with Chantal Cameron. And this is me being honest. I'd love for that fight for Chantal, but if I'm looking at it from their point of view, it's too dangerous. But I think if Katie does keep fighting after Croke Park, I can see it happening. Maybe even somewhere like Madison Square Garden. It's a huge fight. It's a massive fight. But there's loads of fights out there for her. I think in the female divisions, people are much more likely to go through the weight divisions because there's not as much difference as there is in the male boxing. A fight like Terry Harper is a good fight for Chantal. She doesn't have to move, but she's very comfortable at super lightweight. So, a defence against Callie Reese is, for me, if she can't get the Katie Taylor fight, then she's the one who deserves to get the shot, because she was gracious enough to give the belts up so that Chantal could fight McGaskill for the undisputed. She'd have to do that. Do you know what I mean? She was in a position where medically she could have held on to the titles, but she didn't. She didn't hold them up, so that was a gracious thing to do. So I think, out of respect, if and when Callie Reese is ready, she should make a first defence against her.
Two topics I want to touch on with you. First of all, the Conor Benn situation. Jamie, have you kept an eye on it? It seems to be there's a conclusion coming soon. What do you think happens there?
I've no idea. I mean, we've waited a long time. Everyone's eager to hear the outcome. I've seen the release what Conor Benn put out there saying, his name's going to be cleared. I just don't. I can't understand or foresee how, because if you fail two tests for the same thing, then what's the point in testing? What's the point in testing if there's going to be a reason or an excuse, or they've gone to a third party, and to give an explanation for it, that means the tests are not working, they're inadequate. So what's the point in doing it? So I really don't know, but it's sad. I was a big Conor Benn fan, and it taints our sport, and I'm eager to hear the reasoning behind it, or the excuse what they're going to come with, or the reason what they're saying they're going to clear the name, because I'm hoping for a miracle in many ways, because I don't want him to have failed a test, because he's a lovely kid, and his dad was a big hero of mine. So I don't want it to be a reality, but I'm being honest, I'm being truthful. How do you do that? And if they've got a reason for it, a legitimate reason, then let's hear it.
Anthony Joshua is over in America. He's getting the thoughts of a number of trainers. As a trainer, what do you think of that perspective of a fighter looking to pick the brains of and potentially change again the trainer in the corner for the next fight?
Well, it's a good question because AJ's a boxing anorak, and this, the reason why he's doing it, he's trying to educate himself, and I feel he's got so much experience. He doesn't need to educate himself anymore in terms of going out looking. He needs to use the experience he's got and put it into practice. And too many cooks spoil the broth, so to say. And I think I've mentioned this in the past where there was too many voices in the corner in the first Usyk fight. He needs somebody, number one, who he trusts. Number two, to keep it simple and give him sort of short, normal instructions and let him focus on working out himself in many respects in the ring, because you've got to be responsive. Because if you're thinking about what you're going to do, you've already missed your opportunity. It's got to be reactive. It's got to be instinctive. And if he can find somebody who he gels with in America, it doesn't matter where it is. You know what I mean? It can be around the corner from where he lives. But I just think he needs someone who he can trust, who he's relaxed and comfortable with. I was only thinking about this today. I was reading an article and Tony SIMS was mentioned, and it just popped in my head, and I thought, Tony SIMS, great trainer. He's a lovely guy. He knows him from the beginning. Go back old school. Let's get back to that killer AJ who goes in there and tries to tap people's head off. Because when you like going back to what I've just said, if you're hesitant and you're trying to overthink it, you miss those vital opportunities where you're reactive and responsive. And I think he was so exciting. For the first 3 or 4 years coming through when he was just blowing people away. And in many ways, experiences and the loss of Ruiz and stuff like that have sort of made him a bit more hesitant, and he needs to sort of try and strip himself back down and go back to the old AJ and use the experience what he's got and try and find the animal what he used to have inside him as well.
Pleasure to pick the brain of esteemed trainer Jamie Moore. Looking forward to seeing.
I might change my Twitter profile to esteemed trainer. Yeah.
Looking forward to seeing your charge Azeez-Fielding in action this weekend. Thank you for picking the seconds out. Wow.